Hey everybody, Reef Girl here. So I did some reorganizing in the front of my tank here, and part of that was to move the Pectinia over to the right, because after the footage the other night of seeing how long those tentacles were, they were right into the bottom of the Duncan, and the heads at the bottom were getting stung quite badly. So today it's looking a lot better. Now that it's moved a little further away, I don't think it can quite reach. So two corals are at risk, the first being the golden heart frog spawn, because it's right above the Pectinia and it's about 4 inches away. I measured and I'm thinking that as long as the tentacles only go downstream and don't go up or to the right, the frog spawn is going to be safe. So the second coral that's at risk is the Lobophyllia on the left. Now that's the Lobophyllia that attacked my Goniopora. So here's hoping that the tentacles aren't quite long enough to hit the Lobophyllia. That's what I was thinking at the time anyway, but just wait until you see what I have to show you next. But before we get to that, let's take a look at where this Lobophyllia is in general. It's beside the Pectinia, and it's also pretty close to the torch coral. The torch right now has just finished eating, so it's a little bit retracted, and that really is only a couple inches away. And once again, I'm hoping that the downflow action will keep the tentacles away from the Lobophyllia, because the flow in the front of this tank is from right to left. And here's the Goniopora, looking a little orange today after its fight with the Lobophyllia. And when we come around the corner here, we can see that pretty much that whole area was damaged by the Lobo. I'm hoping some of those little dots are polyps coming back, and maybe it wasn't as badly damaged as I first thought. But I guess time will tell. As of right now, the color's not that great. It's close to the bubble, but the bubble's not big enough yet to be a threat. So this little bit of reorganizing, I'm hoping, will keep the peace, or at least I was hoping it would keep the peace. I kept a close eye on this tank after dark and got some really interesting footage. So here's the first clip, and this is right after I noticed that the tentacles on the Pectinia were actually stuck to the Lobophyllia. I've slowed this down so you can really get a look at them. You can see the tentacles with the white balls on the end. They were actually fastened on and stinging the Lobophyllia. The Lobophyllia itself is looking stressed. It's got white gunk on the outside of it and is not looking too healthy. So this is the first little clip I was able to catch. So remember, this is all happening after dark when the lights are out, and I have to actually come over with a flashlight and take a look at the tank and see what's going on, then get my camera set up, and then run the 24-hour preview on my AI Prime LED light. And here we go. Once again, you can see those super long tentacles on the Pectinia, and look at how stressed the Lobophyllia looks. A lot of white all over the outside, and that's spilling from inside the center and from underneath the skirt. This is from a slightly different angle, so you can really see the effect on the Lobophyllia of just having a few tentacles stinging. And it's definitely reacting to this attack by the Pectinia. So I need to reach in here and move this Lobophyllia away from the Pectinia, because it's quite obviously doing it damage, and I am actually concerned about getting close to those tentacles on the Pectinia because I don't want to be stung. So I reached in and pushed the Lobo a little bit away from the Pectinia to get out of reach of those tentacles. There's actually a white mark on the side of the Lobo where it's been stung, so hopefully this will be far enough away to keep it out of harm's way. So after taking care of that, I shone the flashlight around and noticed some other stuff going on in the tank. And there are a few other corals with major tentacles, which have made me rethink the placement of some of them. The first one is the war coral. Those tentacles are so long, it was actually reaching up and stinging the candy cane, which is above it. I didn't get footage of that, but it ended up with me moving the war coral forward and away from the candy cane. And take a look at this acan. There's nothing close by that it can actually touch with these tentacles, but it makes me realize that maybe this is when I should be feeding my reef concoction. And here's the day after the war between Space Invader Pectinia, which is expelling some goop, which we all know what that is, and the Lobophyllia. If you look at that white dot right there on the Lobo, kind of blurry, sorry about that, that is where the tentacle was fastened from the Pectinia. So I'm pretty sure in a battle between Lobophyllia and Pectinia, the Pectinia would win, because even though the Lobo had its guts out, the white stuff, there's no way for it to actually reach the Pectinia. So there you go, Coral Wars Part 2.